Hi, I'm Adam Kaner, and welcome to the training tutorial on conditional formatting. Conditional formatting is one of those buttons that sits on the Home tab, and many people don't know what it is and don't know what it does, and even if they do, they're not quite sure how to use it. But trust me, it really is worthwhile getting it to be your friend, and you will learn so much more about your data by using it, and you'll thank yourself for taking the time. I'm just going to add some calculations to this spreadsheet, a total and maybe a max and a min, and I will just then say equals sum from here to here and equals max from here to here, and an equals min, surprisingly enough, also from the bottom to the top. It doesn't matter whether you do top to bottom or bottom to top when you're doing Excel calculations. I've put these calculations in to show you that although they're very useful, there's something that it doesn't show you. The max, for instance, of 38,000 tells us what the max is, but doesn't show you who's got it. And in large amounts of data, that can be quite irritating to try and find out where your data actually sits. The number we're looking for is actually this one. I've actually seen people do this. They right-click and they say format the cells and do a fill and put some color onto it, and they say, look, I've color-coded it so I know where the number is, which is all well and good until somebody else ends up earning more money and they've got to unhighlight the color and put the color in back. You don't need to do that. Conditional formatting will do it all for us. I'll just undo those colors and I'll show you how it works. The first thing you have to do with conditional formatting is to click into the cell of the first number in the column that you're interested in. If you click down here and start, you'll get into an awful mess. Start at the top. We can click on conditional formatting now. There's lots of different options for automated conditional formatting set up for you. I'll leave you to look at these rather colourful and exciting options in your own time. For now, I'm going to go to a new rule and choose to make a new conditional format based upon a formula to determine which cells to format. And my formula goes something like this. You click on that and I'll say I want my salary. I'm just going to use the top cell here as the example for the salary, because clearly we want it to be dealing with all of these rows eventually, but this will be the example we're using. And we're going to say that has to be equal to the max. Now notice it's put some dollar signs in. We've looked at dollar signs in a previous video. This dollar sign in the 3 here has to go, because it's going to apply this all the way down. It will always be column G, but it won't always be row 3, and it will automatically move those down as we apply these later in another step. However, the G18 will always stay as G18, $G, $18. Neither the row nor the column is going to change for the max, because that's exactly where it sits. Okay, I press return for that. And the format that I want it to be is I want it to be a nice light green color in the background. I click OK and say, yep, that looks good, and OK again. Well, a little bit disappointing because nothing turned that nice light green color, did it? That's because the sample that we gave it of 30,000 is not the same as the max. It doesn't match the criteria which we gave it. What we're going to do now is to go back into conditional formatting and manage the rules. There's our rule that we set up, and we've got it only applying for G3 itself, G3 of course being the sample that we gave it. I'm going to click into there and say I actually want it to apply to that whole block of all of the salaries. That's okay, and the dollar signs are perfectly okay in that instance. I press return and say OK, and a small miracle occurs. Let's go through that one more time, but this time we're going to add a different rule, looking at comparing the salary to the minimum and finding out which ones match that. Again, we've clicked at the top of the salary column. We click on Conditional Formatting. We make a new rule. We use a formula. We want it to be dealing with when that figure there, the first one in sales, is equal to the minimum figure. And we want to lose that dollar sign because it's always column G in this instance as it goes down, but it isn't always row 3, but it will always be G19 because that's where the minimum figure is. Let's return to accept that. We'll choose a different format now, and the format will be a nice light pinky color, and say OK. And OK again. Now we have to go Conditional Formatting again, manage the rules. We've got both rules showing here, and we need to make this rule, the new one that we made, apply to the whole of this column like that. And press return and OK, and a small miracle has occurred again. Let's prove it works. Let's put a nice big number into here, 99,999. That should go green, and it does. And put a nice small number in here, 1, and that should go pinky, and it does. Just undo those and put them back where they were. It's all very well, I hear you say, just highlighting the cell, but you said you were going to do the whole row to make it absolutely obvious which was best and which was worst. Conditional Formatting, manage rules. Both of the rules that we set up earlier apply to G3 to G16, that is the column of the data for the salary. We'd like to have it applied to the whole of the block, so I click on here, and I'm going to apply it stretching right across from one side to the other and top to bottom, becoming B3 to 816. I press return, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other one, B3 to 816. That's good, and click on OK, and I'm running out of words to say how wonderful this is starting to look. While we're having so much fun, let's have a play around with the location column. Conditional Formatting, manage the rules, add a new rule, and again we're going to use a formula, and I want to know when that cell there is equal to quotes UK, close quotes, get rid of the dollar sign and press return. And the format for that is going to be this rather muddy color there, and we'll say OK, and OK again, and again we're going to apply that to the whole block and press return and say OK. That's rather nice, but there's something not quite right about it. It's correctly highlighted the UK rows for us, but didn't Mr. Gatsby here at 23,000 used to be different colour because you matched the minimum, and we've lost it, haven't we? Why is that? Look at the conditional formatting, manage the rules, and we can see that that gets applied first, that gets applied second, and that's third. Clearly what's happening is it's found a match for that and doesn't bother with the rest of it. I want that to be done last. I'm going to move that to the bottom, say OK, and yet another miracle. And now for something a little more colourful. I'm interested in the score, and for this I'm going to pre-select the whole column. This is a score somewhere between 1 and 10. I go to Conditional Formatting, Colour Scales. Let's choose the first one there. That looks fine. Let's come out of there for a second. Ooh, that's rather nice, isn't it? Reminds me of those old ice lollies. So there you have it, conditional formatting explained. There's lots more to look at. You can make things much more complicated, much more sophisticated, and I wish you the very best of luck with it.